What is the worst case of entitlement you have witnessed? My older brother Marcus thought he deserved our dad's entire inheritance just because he was born first. When Dad passed away last winter, I didn't even get a chance to grieve properly. Marcus was already on the phone with lawyers before we'd even left the funeral home. We grew up in the same house but lived completely different lives after high school. I stayed local, got a job at the hardware store, and when Dad had his stroke 3 years ago, I moved back in to take care of him. Marcus? He was too busy living his best life in Phoenix, working some sales job and posting Instagram photos of his fancy apartment. He'd show up maybe once a year for Christmas, always wearing expensive clothes and talking about his success. Dad would light up when he visited, but Marcus would be gone within 2 days, claiming he had important meetings. For 3 years, I handled everything alone. Doctor appointments twice a week, physical therapy sessions, helping Dad shower and get dressed when his left side stopped working right, cooking his meals because he could only eat soft foods, cleaning up when he had accidents, which happened more often than I like to remember. I slept on the couch so I could hear him if he needed help at night. Marcus never offered to help, not once. When I called to update him on Dad's condition, he'd always cut me short because he was busy or had plans. Sometimes he wouldn't even answer for days. Dad's will was crystal clear. Everything went to me. The house, his car, his savings account. It wasn't a lot of money, maybe $40,000 total, but it was enough to help me get back on my feet after 3 years of barely working. The lawyer said Dad had updated it 2 years ago, specifically stating that I was getting everything because I'd sacrificed so much to care for him. But Marcus had different ideas. I'm the firstborn, he told me over coffee at Denny's, like that automatically made him royalty. Dad obviously wasn't thinking straight when he signed that. The stroke probably affected his judgment. I thought he was just upset and needed time to process. But 2 weeks later, I got served with legal papers. Marcus was contesting the will, claiming Dad had been mentally incompetent and that I'd manipulated him into changing it. His lawyer was arguing that as the eldest son, Marcus had a legal right to at least half the inheritance. The accusations got worse. Marcus started calling our relatives, telling them I'd isolated Dad from the family and brainwashed him. He told our cousin Jenny that I'd stolen Dad's credit cards and forced him to sign papers he didn't understand. He even claimed I'd refused to let him visit, which was complete garbage. I'd begged him to come help dozens of times. At the grocery store, Mrs. Wilson from church pulled me aside and asked if it was true that I'd been keeping Dad locked in his room. Our old neighbor Tom stopped talking to me entirely. These were people who'd known me since I was 8 years old, suddenly treating me like I was some kind of criminal. The worst part was when Marcus showed up at the house while I was packing Dad's clothes for donation. He walked in like he owned the place and demanded I give him the keys immediately. "This is my house now," he said, standing in the living room where I'd spent countless nights helping Dad with his medication. "You can visit, but I'm moving back to settle the estate properly." When I told him the house was legally mine until the court decided otherwise, he lost it. Started yelling about how I was a loser who'd never amounted to anything and how Dad had always loved him more. Said I was just the backup son who got lucky. That's when I'd had enough. I pulled out my phone and showed him something that made his face go white. A video Dad had recorded 6 months before he died, when he was having a good day. In it, Dad clearly stated that he was leaving everything to me because I'd given up my life to take care of him, while Marcus couldn't even be bothered to call on his birthday. There were dozens of them. Voice memos thanking me for my patience. Text messages to his old friends explaining why he was changing his will. Doctor's notes confirming he was completely mentally competent right up until he passed. Marcus's lawyer dropped him the next week after seeing the evidence.